Turn it up. You're listening to Live and Loud with the Lord, Nelson, that is.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you know who it is. It is yours truly, the Lord. Always have to pause. Nelson, that is, for the podcast Live and Loud with the Lord on the CMS network with Five Royals Entertainment. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest. Well, this young man is going to represent for his band, but as always, I've got to read something to big them up, to let them know how special they are. And so if he doesn't mind, I will proceed. So,
please.
Ladies and gentlemen, this band brings that cool and inviting in the pocket vibe that is magnificently unassuming and allows us to embrace their vocal and musical tones with an ease and clarity that speaks loudly without yelling. Their songs are a journey of pleasurable sounds, complemented by meaningful lyrics that pulls just enough energy from other genres to create something very special for the listeners. I am very honored and blessed to have, well, the young guy here, well, the band here. We're going to say the band here anyway. So without further ado, I present to you Intemperate Sons. Yeah.
All right.
The Intemperate Sons. Yes, indeed. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here.
You bet.
So
my pleasure.
So this is Keith, correct?
Yes.
Keith is here.
I am.
Keith is here representing for the Intemperate Sons, and I'm ready to have a good conversation, man. This is what it's about. It's not an interview. It's a good conversation. And so we will proceed with the conversation. So my first question always, Keith, is where are you guys from?
Well, originally we're from Louisiana.
Okay,
actually.
really?
Three of us, yeah. Mm-hmm. But now we're based out of Dallas.
Right.
A little north of Dallas or whatever. But yeah, we're originally from Louisiana, from North Louisiana and Shreveport.
Shreveport, Louisiana. Wow. So see, that just changes things for me a little bit. But you know, I'm freestyle. I'm on it. It's love. So now, when we're talking about family members, who are the family members?
So my two sons are guitar and vocals, both guitars and vocals. So my son Max is the lead singer. He's also a lead guitar player. He plays keys. He plays everything, actually. He can play everything.
Right.
Jake is our another rhythm and lead guitar player. And then I'm the dad, actually. So So, you know, all the band dynamics, you know, over the years that I've had, it's cool to kind of grow your own musicians because there's no drama in this band, man.
See, that would be one of my questions down the way. But wow, really, that's awesome. See, I didn't know that so my son and I, we do music together also, and I love it when we do something. We just released a song not too long ago also, but that's a beautiful dynamic, man. I think that's great, man. That's awesome.
Great.
That's awesome. Yes,
absolutely, man.
Awesome, man. Listen, look at that little nugget, bam, right there. So, Louisiana. So, what was it like growing up in Louisiana?
Well, it was. I mean, I still have a ton of friends there, so we had a. You know, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. So it was, you know, laid back. It was cool culture. I still like to get back there.
Yeah.
I still got a ton of friends there, but it was, I surrounded myself with a lot of friends that were actually musicians too. So it was not uncommon, at least in high school anyway, to be at a party and several people had instruments and were, you know, playing while doing other things. But, so, and then actually when we moved here, my kids were still pretty young. So they kind of pretty much grew up in this area, if you want to talk about your consciousness or whatever. Got you. Yeah. But I loved it, man. I love Louisiana. We're actually going to go back and play a gig there in February. So
awesome, man. Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So see, I was looking at the Dallas aspect of it, but it's all love. So I'm going to ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to fly into Dallas, so you've been in Dallas for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Since
wanted
2004.
and I wanted to have a great time and a great meal. Where are you taking me?
Oh, geez. If I'm going to take you for a great meal, I would probably take you to either Hutchins Barbecue,
Okay.
or I would take you, if we wanted to do some fine dining, I would take you to the Capitol Grill.
Okay.
So, but Hutchins Barbecue, man, that is, I have never had barbecue better,
Really?
like literally. And I know there's different factions in the U.S., you know,
Right.
because
I'm
out
from
east
South
you got,
Carolina, right? That's right. That's
yeah,
right. So yeah.
you got kind of that Georgia barbecue, the vinegary, a little bit more vinegary, you know. But
Yes.
this is a straight up Texas barbecue, so
Okay.
it's really good. Best brisket I've ever had. So, and then for going out and literally from the live scene, one of the great places here locally to go see a good original music, but you can see anything, is
Right.
Trees down in Deep Ellum. It's pretty legendary venue, like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all those guys played there back in the before they made it big. Clint runs a really good show down there. He owns Canton Hall and the Bomb Factory too. So that's a great venue to go see all kinds of music. So we just played there. We just opened for the Bullet Boys 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. Oh, see, now I asked that question and see, because when speaking of Dallas, my bandmate, Mr. Matt Acevedo, lives right outside of Dallas.
Oh, wow.
So, I was just there earlier last year, and we had a great time. And so, but we really didn't go anywhere. We just stayed in the house and talked music and did music. That was it. That was it. We ordered it.
That's cool.
And had a good time. I really didn't want to do that because it was for his birthday, but we just had a really great time there. So I'll make sure that I ask him about this. But yeah, he's right there, a magnificent guitar player. He's just I'm so blessed to have him, be a part of what we're doing, Plastic.
Awesome.
Lord Nelson, indeed. So I'm going to make sure I said, like, hey, Matt, so when I come back, these are the spots. These are the places. We might have to link up with you guys also,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
let's do it. Yes, I'm game.
No doubt. So one more food question from the big guy.
Sure.
Shipley Donuts. What do you know about it? Or have you enjoyed it at all? I mean, I know it's from Texas.
I've had them, but I'm from Louisiana originally, and there is no better donuts than Southern Made. So
I've never heard of it. And see, I asked that once again, the Texas thing, because my wife is from Mississippi, and she introduced me to Shipley Donuts. I'm Southeast, so I know Dunkin' and Krispy Kreme. That's what I know.
Right.
And so I was just like, wow, but these donuts are an amazing donuts. I really the lemon feel anyway. Food
they're
stuff.
good.
But so I was just like, I just wanted to ask that question. All right. So
Southern Made. If you're ever in Louisiana, go to Southern Made Donuts.
Yeah. I got you. Southern Made, definitely. So when you think back to the early days, when did you realize you had a great love and passion for music?
God, very early on. I mean, my parents had me kind of young. I mean, they had me when they were like 19. So but they weren't into the kind of the psychedelic type stuff or whatever. Very early on, they were into Motown.
Okay.
So we had the big, credenza vinyl player and all that stuff. And, I've listened to a lot of those records, and then, we had Elvis in the house. But, it was like, God, it was the Shondells. There was like, Smokey Robinson, all the earlier stuff like that. So I can remember loving to play that, the vinyl on the stereo and listening to that. But then it's kind of weird. My music consciousness in terms of, I guess you would say hard rock to begin with, it was like probably like 6 years old listening to Heart.
Heart. Yeah, man. Come on, man.
I mean, that was like, I was like, wow, she's got a powerful voice in those guitars. Man, and then, I mean, not soon after that, I got into AC/DC and Ozzy and Rush. And, but so, so that, it was very early on. I mean, I didn't start playing the drums until a little bit later in life, about 16.
Okay.
But and then I probably could have started earlier on an instrument. My dad loved country music too, so if I would have said, "Hey, Dad, I want to play a steel guitar,"
Right.
he would have bought me one immediately. But I wanted to play drums, so
Awesome.
we had to.
Listen, man, that's awesome. And usually a lot of times I'll ask people or ask my guests where, what kind of music did their parents listen to? And I just love the fact that you just went into it. I didn't even have to ask that question. It's just love, because our parents, they really mean so much to us in our early years of what they're listening to. And we are really influenced a lot by those things, even though we may go here or there, we are. And so when you say Motown and all those things and Elvis, and my mom and dad listened to all of that. And we had the big console also, and there was music in my house always. We always had music. So there's nothing better than music. I love music. Music is the greatest thing.
Man, I've got like 700 vinyl records. You can't see them because of the backdrop, but behind me and a turntable over here, I still listen to vinyl.
Oh, man, it's awesome, man. And like my brother's a DJ. And when we were growing up, he used to have me come with them just to carry the crates, into the clubs and everything, and move big speakers and stuff like that. But, I'll never forget those times. And yes, indeed, vinyl is something special. It really is. And I actually, where is it? Back over here, Stony Sugar Skull. I bought a vinyl from her that she put out, and she just got a different kind of vibe. I love her. She cool. Just has an amazing thing. But yeah, so I have a few vinyl things that I bought also. So man, anyway, that's love, man. I love that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, indeed. So why do you think this style of music you do so well speaks to you more than any other?
For me, it's about, music is kind of like therapy. So, whatever you went through as a kid or whatever you're going through today, you're getting inundated by crazy stuff all the time now that we didn't get inundated with earlier on. But I'm not a painter, but I write most of the lyrics for the band. So it's about, it's about having the right music to tell the story about how I'm feeling. And it just so happens that I think from my writing perspective, alternative rock, I still love the guitar. I play guitar too. I love keys. There's a lot of different ways. And I think if you listen to our music, we're very eclectic in terms of, there's some Southern rock in there. There's some, hard rockers, there's, all the different things, but we try to incorporate whatever tools that we have at our disposal into the music. And then the music is what helps me kind of tell the story. And it just so happens that, that's for me, the best way to tell it. It's, kind of minor notes, definitely keys, or a lot of vocal harmonies. I don't know about you, but when I first heard the Mamas and the Papas or Fleetwood Mac, the harmonies makes my, bumps go up on my arms,
so right now.
Yeah. So we're big on that as well, because that kind of is like a chord, that also helps accentuate a point, whatever point you're trying to make in the song. And then, I think I saw this on a Bee Gees documentary, which is kind of funny. It said that, me and my boys, we harmonize when we sing. So that's a chord that nobody else can do on the planet. It's just us, so we try to incorporate a lot of that in, and it just kind of helps tell the stories that I write. Although my youngest son that sings, he's been writing more lyrics lately. So you'll see on the second album, his writing style coming out, which is we're not so different that it's like, oh, that's a Mac song and that's that's a Keith song. So.
No, that's awesome, man. Well, the reason why I asked that question is, and which you spoke so well about it, man. I love it. I asked that question because to me, the name of the band, the Intemperate Sons, that's like it speaks to me. When I hear that, I think Texas. It sounds big. It sounds like it's a Texas thing. And you saying Louisiana makes me, I don't know, but it sounds that. But your music is bigger than that. It's bigger than you just saying that this is a Texas thing. You know, the
Yeah.
music is all of that. And once again, as I said, that grunge in there and those harmonies are on point and fluid. So how important, you just spoke about it a little bit, how important is the alternative music to your foundation?
Yeah. That, if you go back to not just my roots, because, you know, I've always liked, you know, vocal harmonies, and I've liked specific types of music, but I tend to go towards the dark side. And my son, my youngest son, is kind of the same way. And what's funny is when, you know, they were growing up, all they heard was, you know, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. They heard, you know, a lot of the alt rock bands from the time. And so I think my youngest became a little bit darker in his thinking in terms of writing lyrics or what, and playing music.
Right.
And it's kind of funny because my other son, Jake, my oldest son, he loves pop music. He loves, he loves the old folk guitar folks. He's got like a different mentality. So he brings us a little bit of sunshine musically to the dark undercurrent of the lyrics and some of the melodies that kind of mixes together.
Right.
So it's going back with them. I guess I made it important to them. And now we're just kind of like a collective group that just kind of enjoys that kind of style of music. And, you know, some of it, the great thing about alternative music is that it's hard to, you know, it's just, it can be a lot of different things, right? I mean, if I think about heavy metal, like I love Meshuggah, but there's a lot of bands out there that try to sound like, you know, Meshuggah, you know?
Right.
The alternative space, there's a lot of different bands with different instrumentation, different influences, different lyrical styles. And that kind of fits what we are. We don't want to be, I guess, put in a box, so to speak. You know.
Well, you know, just like you were saying, the energy, nobody can have that energy like you guys have. You know, somebody can come and try to play the Intemperate Sons music, but it's not going to be what you are and who you are and how you sound. There's no way to get that. That is something that's special, that is given to you. You know, and so I hear you when you say that. So no matter what band, you know, we like Nirvana. I love Nirvana. Teen Spirit is one of the greatest songs ever written to me. I don't care what anybody says. The tension in releasing that song is so amazing. You put that song on, and I'm just like, man, this song is beyond. It's just me, you know, personally. And I know it's a gigantic song. And I even did a little cover of it. I haven't released it yet, but, you know, I did my own little version of it or whatever. But every time I listen to it, I'm just hearing me. But then I just listen to Kurt, and I'm just like, man, nobody can touch that. There's no way. So I don't want anybody disrespecting me because I'm doing it, you know, because I'm not disrespecting him, but it's a great thing. But no, I really understand what you were saying. That's a beautiful thing.
You know, that's one of the things that grabbed me. I mean, it's the power of the, you know, back in the 80s or whatever with the, you know, the hair metal bands, the hard rock bands,
right?
You know, there's a lot of higher pitched singing or whatever. And it's kind of a little bit kind of more lighthearted or whatever. I don't know what you mean, what to say, but you know, when 1990 rolls around and you hear Kurt and you hear Lane and they're singing about really dark stuff, but when they're singing it like super powerful, you know, with it's not like Meshuggah with, you know, kind of, some people say, oh, it's Cookie Monster. Okay, well, it has its place,
right?
But when you can articulate, you know, when you can understand what you're saying, but you have this like power behind it, that's like, I don't know, mid range or whatever, but there's a lot of range to their vocals.
Right.
That just grabbed me, you know, that and the harmonies. Nirvana didn't so much have as many harmonies or whatever, but they were just like they were like a super melodic punk band to me, you know. Alice in Chains is the one that,
Alice
you know,
we
really, yeah. I saw them open for Van Halen, back in 1991. Yeah, that was one of their first tours or whatever, and saw Lane. That was an amazing show. I'm
big on Stone Temple Pilots also.
Yeah.
Man, listen. So these songs you're talking about, I have them in my playlist, man, and I keep them in rotation. And you know, a lot of times I just get in my vehicle and I just drive and I just listen, and I'm just gone. I'm in another place, another space and time, and I'm just enjoying it. I always say that music is a time machine. So it takes me back to feeling good about something. You know, most of the times I'm not being sad about anything, but it just makes me feel good. So music is an amazing time machine to me, man. So
it validates an emotion.
Oh,
you know,
yes,
it's like whatever you're feeling right then and there.
100%, 100%. So as you spoke about it earlier, and I said that you had already kind of answered the question, you're all talented musicians and you all write. So has this, on top of being related to each other, made the creative process easier or more difficult? And I know you said it's kind of easier for you.
Well, I will say this, one of the most fun places on the planet for me to be is in the studio with my kids, because they were raised to kind of not have, you know, egos or whatever, because, you know, we're also a really sarcastic family. So if you want to act like you're a little peg above or whatever, there's several of us that can knock you down and, you know, come on, man, you know, but, it's such a collaborative process, and it's been amazing to watch them kind of grow as musicians and articulate what they want, or take a song that I've written or a song that any of them have written and just say, okay, what do we need to change here? How do we need to play this? Or maybe hey, sing this a little bit differently. There's no, you know,
right.
ego or anger or anything of that nature. And they're all super willing to get in there and create, you know.
Awesome.
And it's all about, I mean, obviously if you recorded with your son,
yes, indeed.
To me, it's about learning who they are on a deeper level as young men, you know?
Right. I say that, I always tell my son, and I say this and I mean it. He's everything I am and everything I wish I could have been. You know, when I look at him and you know, I marvel at my children. We are just like you are, you know, we're a tight-knit family, my wife and I and our 3 children. We just get together, we listen to music, we do our things. Now I love music way more than they love music. Sometimes they think I'm crazy because I might be listening to some Bach or some Beethoven or something. They're looking at me like, man, what is going on with this dude? Or I might listen to my, you know, I'm listening to some country music. I'm listening to Alabama. I'm listening to Ronnie Millsap. I could go on and on. I mean, I'm a military kid, so I grew up listening to everything. I've been around everybody. So I always say that, but it gets me excited when I think about all those songs and how I grew up. So country, I don't care what genre it is. I'm not a genre snob. I love music. So it's all a beautiful thing. So what drives you and excites you about the music you're creating?
You know, for me, it's such a creative outlet. It's therapy, man. I mean, I enjoy, basically, again, I said earlier, I can't paint or anything, but I have something to say, but I don't necessarily want to say it, you know, in 1 or 2 words. Maybe it's a little bit more obscure, but it's a therapy thing for me. It's about getting a feeling out and then creating something larger than what it was, you know, inside, especially when you have your own family members taking it and building it into something a lot larger. So that whole creative process and learning about myself, learning about them. I mean, there's been a couple of songs, you know, I was like, my wife and I are looking at each other going, do we need to have a talk with him? You know, it's like, you know, sometimes you know, build something up. It might not be that serious, but you know, you take it and make it look more serious, you know, whatever.
As a parent, I understand, but you know, I had to tell my son, I was like, listen, man, you're grown. You're a grown man. I said, I want you to be as open as you can be. You know, you're not going to disrespect me as a father. I said, but when we're doing music, we're in another place. And I just want to let you know, say whatever you feel that you need to say. And when I said that to him, it opened him up to where, you know, he didn't feel that pressure. I was just like, now, when you come to the house, when you come back home and it's mom and dad now, you know, they're the most respectful in the world. But, you know, I was like, when you're out there doing your thing, do your thing. You're a grown man. So, I have nothing else to say about that. So,
well, isn't it? I mean, to me, it's like a way for them to talk to you without having to talk to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's the hardest thing when you're growing up. It's like,
yes.
So,
yeah. And I guess, like, even with that, I'm so cool with my father now, you know, as a grown man, because he respects me as a grown man. And but I want to go back to something you just said earlier, and you said it a couple of times about painting. But no, musically, you are painting a beautiful picture. That yes, yeah, maybe it's not with that brush, but with those instruments and the drums and your vocals and the lyrics, you're painting a beautiful picture. And me, as a person who is very, very visual, when you have those kind of lyrics, so I'm listening to your songs as I'm listening to your catalog, and I'm writing these questions because that's what I always do.
Yeah,
so I'm listening. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm there. Okay, I hear it. I was like, I see it. I see everything. I don't care what we're talking about. I see it. So anything where you're talking about your sons, I'm picturing it. I'm there with you.
Yeah.
People will always say, like, why are you laughing so hard? Or what are you? I said, because I see it. I see what I said, and it's funny to me. So yes,
yeah.
So,
man.
Yes. So from when you first started to this very day,
how
have you coped with the changes of how music is distributed now?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I guess in certain respects, it's a lot. Obviously, it's super easy to get your stuff out there now. But I don't. To me, it's like I've been in bands before where I guess maybe the whole thing was about gigging, right? And even that's difficult these days. I mean, obviously, the cost of living has gone up a lot too, and then we have a ton of merch, that kind of stuff. But for me, it's not just about playing live, but because I love to do that, but it's also about getting a good product out there. And I guess the way that it's amazing now, because it's super cheaper to actually record now.
Right.
But I think where people don't probably push themselves a little harder is in getting produced a little bit and making sure the mix is good, maybe making sure it sounds good on all media types, right? So the tools at our disposal, or for me anyway, allow me to create constantly. Like last night, I stayed up until midnight, literally transposing one of the songs that I've written to an entirely electronic song.
Right.
Like I programmed the drums, played some keys on it, and did all these different things just to kind of expand my mind a little bit. And then, so I guess in that regard, it's probably made music, the creation of music, although some people that are stuck in a certain period would say differently. I think it's opened up a ton of more avenues for the types of music that you hear, but you still have to get it out there. You still have to try to get it on playlists so people can hear you. Otherwise it's just, it's not going to get heard. So where we've been super fortunate for that is through the Framework label with Amir Darak and Ryan Shuck, and getting our music, getting it in front of the right people and getting our music heard,
That's a big thing. That's gigantic.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So you still have to do that. You still have to get, for me, I'm the band manager, the equipment manager, the art director, all of that, but you still have to get people behind you. That's never changed. So, and people that believe in you.
Awesomeness, how we just segue into the next thing, and I love when it happens. It's beautiful. I love when the guests are very vocal about things. Man, I'm enjoying it so much, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Me too.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Yes, indeed. So it goes right into, how important do you feel a team is needed to be successful in the music industry? Yeah,
I mean, you can't do everything well, so you have to have people that that are on your team that believe in you, that can help you do certain things. So, in our case, Amir, who's also a dear friend of mine, he's in Julian K, he was in Rough Cut, he's in Orgy, all that. He is literally like our fifth member when it comes to our music, because even though we pretty much go into the studio and we produce as well as we can, he still goes one step above that when he's mixing, and does a little bit of producing behind the mixing dials as well, to make sure that we sound, consistent across, and and he's been super helpful for me in terms of, I don't know, song arrangement, in terms of settling or not settling for things when, or, making things or waiting on things to make it a little bit better, that type of stuff. And then
Right.
Ryan Shuck, who was also in Orgy and Julian K.
Right.
He's in Edema. He's a singer for Edema too. He's been super helpful on the business side, and with ideas in terms of how to market ourselves, and actually Amir is the same on that too, and especially in terms of merch. But
Right.
it's stuff that I wouldn't know otherwise, and so. And they're literally part of our team, I mean, they really are. And then my son is our graphic arts design guy, my oldest son, Jake. So he helps on the art aspect of it. Mark is our merch guy. So we got a really good deal on merch. We can make t-shirts insanely cheap. And then Max is lately he's a rock, man. He's got ice in his veins, but he's also really good at taking all of our ideas and making demos out of them too, to kind of arrange us or organize us before we go into the studio. So
no, that's cool. It frees you up to do what you do well. As you said, you can do everything, but it spreads you thin. And something that over all these years, I was just like, man, if I had this, if I had that. I'm working with a younger guy now he has put me so in tune with, you got to do it like this, or here's what you have. And I'm listening to him. He's way younger than me. He's like my son's age, but I'm like, no, I'm paying attention. I was like, I'm open to your ideas. I know what I've done all these years, when I haven't been, now that I'm back doing, an independent thing, Matt and I with Plastic Catastrophe with Lord Nelson. But, just having those proper ideas and having that team behind you means the world. Corey Lowry, who plays with Seether now, used to play for Stuck Mojo. Corey was telling me, he's just like, Lord, man, I'm telling you, man, that team, he said, is the most important thing of getting that stuff out there, because there's so many different elements of it that you need.
That's right.
Out there to you. And then nothing's promised to anybody, but still to get you in the right places to be seen, to be heard, or whatever like that. So I see you're there, man. That's a lovely thing, man. That's a lovely thing. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So let's talk about this music. Let's talk about The Color Within. When I listen to it, it makes me want to get in my vehicle, roll the windows down, and just drive, because I like to do that anyway. But it's great music. So what state of mind were you guys in while creating this album?
God, man. So that, the first couple of songs before we ever released the album was me and my sons trying to figure out if we were going to be in a band together and be a band. And so we ended up recording the first Going Crazy. We recorded Running Man, and we recorded Waiting in the Gray. And those are, Jake wrote Waiting in the Gray, I wrote Running Man, and Max wrote Going Crazy. Okay. So we all three brought something to the table.
Yeah.
But during that, or right before that, my father had passed away back in 2018. And so it's kind of like I was in a dark space, he was relatively young. He was only 68. Right. And it was, so a lot of the writing on that album really is me kind of, I guess you would say, is trying to work out not that I had, major issues with my dad or anything like that. It was just working out the mourning of my dad's passing. Right. So, there's several songs on that album that address that specifically. The obviously the most obvious one is Dust to Dust. That was literally a song about a letter that he wrote me, or wrote my mother, years ago, back in the 90s, when he was having his second heart surgery. He didn't think he was going to make it and all this. Right. And then another dream that he had right before he died, which is kind of the bridge section. So I kind of just painted that picture. And then Believe was also another one too, where I was running at 5:30 in the morning and I thought I was about to see somebody get hit by a car. And my dad had just passed like 2 days before. Right. And I was like, scared me so much that I was trying to get my phone out of my pocket so I could call 911 because I thought somebody was about to get hit by a car, and it was just an illusion.
Wow.
So I was like, whoa,
You're in another place. Yes, indeed.
I was in another place. So, and that's pretty much the album in general. It's addressing some issues from, back when I was younger and dumber and that kind of thing, or,
right.
Like Running Man is, kind of me not being the perfect man that you want to be, when you're a father, and it's kind of like, apologizing to my son, that type of thing,
right,
in that scenario. So there's a lot of issues that were addressed on it. So but mainly it was a dark time. Essentially, it was kind of a great time because me and my sons were bonding, which was amazing. But then also, kind of addressing some of the dark times, from before that. I just only wish that my father had lived to see or hear us on recorded. He never did get to hear us at all.
Right.
Yeah. So
those things mean a lot, man. And, to have, your parents proud of you. And, my mom passed way back in 85. And, but what's wild is that my son wrote a song called Parents Proud. So this new project that I'm working on, I'm going to put it on my project. But the thing is that it was just him. And then they asked me to get on it. So, to speak kind of like, talking about him, because he was really just giving my wife and I, just showing us love and just talking about the things that we've done. So when we first heard it, we got very emotional. And like, wow. And so then to get on there and then to come back and just to let him know, I wrote one thing while I was kind of singing. They was like, nah, you gotta come with something else, man. Not that, man. I was just like, but I was like, it's your song, and I was just like, I don't want to kind of overtake what you're doing. They were like, nah, just come from, and I came from the heart and I loved what I did, but so I was like, okay. So I went in deeply about him being born and those things like that. So when you say those things, man, it all comes full circle. And yes, we really want them to love what we do and cherish what we do, because a lot of people can say things out in this industry. They can say, like, Lord Nelson, you're the worst individual in the world. It won't matter to me. But what really matters to me is that my family unit, because we are so close. So the things that they say, can get under my skin a little bit more.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but it's still all love, man. And I applaud you, really with your family dynamic, man. And you guys are just doing things, man. It's love. It's love, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, indeed. So when you listen to the album now, or you perform these songs, do you still get the same feeling you initially had?
I do. Yeah, I mean, you said it earlier. It takes you back to where you were when you wrote the song, and so that emotion, you need. Even if the singer doesn't write the song, he still has to feel or he or she has to feel the emotion, of whatever it is that helps them tell the story. So I still feel that when I play those songs. I literally do. And part of it too is the whole, the vocal harmonies that we built into it. So that just helps reinforce it, because like I said earlier, that it accentuates the point, when you're singing, or at least for us anyway. But yeah, man, I still do. I mean, there's actually, the first time we ever played, we've only played Dust to Dust twice live. And I think the first time it was super hard for my son, like literally, So, I mean, I'm just back there on the drums every now and then singing, backing vocals, but.
but those emotional songs like that, they mean a lot. I've written a couple of songs about my mother, and actually I wrote a song about my mom, and then I just couldn't take it. And I changed it up where I wrote it like I was losing my wife. And then they were like, no, man, you gotta say it. I was just like, yeah, it's a little difficult. It's not real easy, especially when you're listening to the lyrics and then it's taking you back and you're thinking about all those things. So it can be very, very emotional, but they make great songs though.
That's the ones that, those are the ones that connect with people.
Really, indeed. So how large of a pool of songs had you guys written that you pulled from to get the amazing 10 songs that you put on the album?
I had, whenever we started, obviously 3 of us brought three songs there, but I actually already had Running Man, and I had been working on Broken Door, and I had been working on Dust to Dust.
Okay.
And then some of the songs we kind of wrote in the middle. Like I'm a drummer, but I take guitar lessons from Monty Pittman, who plays right now. He's playing guitar for Ministry, but he is Madonna's longtime guitar player too. So there's been several songs where, you know, I had just like one riff, and then all of a sudden I did a lesson. I'm like, oh, I've got a bridge now. Like, you know, Dust to Dust and Color Within. I wrote the bridge based as a result of one of his guitar lessons. So
awesome.
Yeah. But I had a pretty good backlog from stuff that I'd written but never shared with other bands or you know, before. But actually this go around we are 9 songs, or we're about to be 9 songs into what will be the second album. And everybody has come to the table. I mean, this is all like net new stuff. So everybody's coming to the table with riffs, and we're organizing. And Mac, like I said, Mac's doing a good job of organizing that. But yeah, with the Color Within, we had some of that stuff already kind of partially developed. Now, the ones that I wrote, you know, they were rudimentary on guitar because I'm a drummer. I'm not, you know, I'm never going to get out on stage and do that. But the kids made it insanely better. And, you know, we had some guest players. That was before we had Mark in the band and that entire album. So we had some guest players on bass for that. And we had Tony Franklin from The Firm, and we had Amir Durak played some bass on some songs like Wall of Glass and Remission and several others. But then he also played slide guitar. And I got to tell a story about that. We're talking about family.
Yeah.
So I told you my dad, you know, would have let me play steel guitar at the age of 2 if I'd have just said it. But so he always loved slide guitar. So when we were doing that song, it's like, okay, I'm going to get Tony is going to play the fretless bass on this song. And Amir, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love for you to play a guitar solo. We've left literally room for 3 specific pieces. He goes, okay, let me figure out what I want to do. Having never known any of this stuff, right? So it's already a tribute song to my dad. And he goes, okay. And he sends me the track back. He goes, tell me what you think of this. And he's done an entire slide guitar solo. I was like, wow, man. I said, I don't know if you know this, but my dad would have loved that. Like, he was a huge slide guitar or steel guitar, slide guitar, all of that. You know?
I love it.
It just kind of happened that way. So, yeah.
Those are the signs, man. Listen, those are the signs that just really let you know. People can say whatever they want to say, man. Those things let you know something else bigger than all of us, man. And that is that's magical right there. I'm telling you, man. I'm big on signs like that. I'm just like, wow. You know, because I would have done the same thing. Like, hey, man, do you know that? And so, in hearing that song, because I was just like, oh man, because I have a few people who I know that play that, and I was just like the slide guitar, and I was just like, oh man, that sounds so great. I said, that sounds so great, man. It's love. And it does get you emotional, man. So that's love, man.
I was like, wow, man, you sound like Dickie Betts on that thing. You know, he would have loved that.
Awesome. So you guys have dropped 5 singles, if I'm correct. Unrealized, Way Back When, Game of Keep Away, Faceless Man, and Lake of Poison, which is the release out right now.
Right.
So was this a calculated thing about the, you know, releasing these singles now? You know, how or while you're working on this new album?
Yeah, I mean, the way that I view it is that, you know, every song is an asset. I mean, you know, if you just, I guess there's no right or wrong answer, but if you just drop your entire album out there, then it's out there and it's going to have whatever life that it has. And if you're a big artist and you're touring and all that stuff, it may not be that big of a deal. But for us, you know, we're not this massive national act yet. Right. I got you. So, I like that. So we treat every song as an asset, you know. For us, it's about building the foundation of the fan base and who we are as an artist. And so each one, we try to do each song as its own asset, like its own package.
Right.
You know, it's going to have a video to it. It's going to have a release schedule to it. We're going to have some narrative behind it and all of that. And then eventually, you know, once we get, I mean, some of these songs have been in the can for a long time, you know, because we've been recording for the last year and a half for this, but, and then eventually, you know, you have 2 or 3 songs left, you go ahead and release that and then work those singles as well. So that's kind of the way that we handle it. Instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to wait. It's kind of like, I'm also a consultant. So, in IT, there's an agile method versus waterfall. So agile is just incrementally delivering stuff. And waterfall is just like end to end, wait to the end and just drop it, you know? So we're doing the agile approach on this.
I got you. I've spoken with a lot of people, and I know that we're doing the same thing. We're releasing singles, and then we'll, you know, it'll all accumulate to one thing.
Yeah.
But that's what we're doing because it just seems like it's a better thing to do now anyway. Because you just said something very important, because when you drop that, if you're not like one of those big acts, then it's just like people get it, and then that shelf life is how long is it gonna, you know? And so that's something that we really have to worry about a lot more. And so I hear you on that, and I love when I have great you know, artist musicians like you as guests, because I listen. And I get inspiration from things that you're saying, man, that might mean something to me. So I intake a lot of stuff. So I'm just like, but yes, indeed, we're doing the same thing. So that's love.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Indeed.
Thank you.
No, awesome. So the new album, Game of Keep Away, can we expect the same vibe as The Color Within?
You know, out of the box, it might be a little heavier.
Okay.
Definitely. I mean, we've got some songs that we haven't released yet, multiple, and this is the video, a snapshot from the video behind it, but it's a little bit heavier, although Lake of Poison's a really trippy song, and we seem to do really well with our fans when we do kind of the trippier, you know, type of stuff. So Amir's mixing the song right now that's got a really trippy alternative, you know, kind of vibe to it, but overall it's heavier. For sure. But it's also some of the lyrical duties have been relieved a little bit for me, because Max has written some multiple. He's got 3 songs on the album that he's written all the music for and all the lyrics for. Yeah. So
great.
I'm like,
and you know how lovely and magical it is to see your child. Now I have daughters also. So I have an older daughter, and then I have twins, a son and a daughter. And so it's so great. You know, my daughters, they're my princesses. I love them all equally, but those are my girls. Now my son is my guy. So, you know, I'm a little bit different. I'm way different with him, indeed. But to see our sons do well, and we want them to be better than us. Something that my father said, I want you to be better than me. Not that you're better than me, but be better than me. You know, so as each generation comes. So when we see that, and you see your son writing and doing those things, and you see them up there, man, that's got to be this. Man, that's great, man. That's just an awesome thing, man. That's a beautiful thing, man. It is, man. I'm telling you, I'm there with you, man. So I know you're feeling good about it. I know you really are.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you get to learn more about them.
Yes.
If you and I, if I'm going to sit down with my son and have a man-to-man talk, you know, sometimes depending on the age, they're only going to let you know so much. Maybe they're going to deal with some things on their own, and you know, or they just don't want to say anything. But when they can kind of obscurely or through, you know, guitar or keys or whatever, write or paint an emotion, then, you know, you get to learn a little bit more about them on a different level, you know, which that's what's cool to me, for sure.
Amazing, man. I love it. I love it. So let's talk about Framework, In Grooves, and Amir. How do you say his last name? Durock?
Durock, yeah.
Okay, I said it right. Durock, and what he means to you.
So Amir literally is one of my best friends. I mean, he's I've known him for, I guess I met him in 2017.
Okay.
And he kind of, or very early on, I kind of sent him some music, and he listened to it, and kind of was like, hey, this is good stuff.
Right.
But through that whole process of just kind of the music aspect of it, we learned that we have a lot in common, and we enjoy each other's company and that kind of stuff. So he's been a really dear friend to me. And then he's also, he treats you, or me anyway, treats me like a brother. If I'm going to make a mistake, or that's what if I send him a song, he'll go, no,
right.
This needs, I don't want somebody just going, oh yeah, this is great. He's literally like a brother would be. If you ask him what time it is, he will tell you.
Right. He's going to be honest with you. And
that's right.
That's a great thing though. Yes, indeed.
And then along the way, I met Ryan through Amir, and which obviously they form Framework,
right?
And they're the kind of the driving force behind helping us get our music out and promoting our stuff. So, and that's both, and also, honestly too, I need to mention Denny Sanders, because he's out in Nashville, but he helps in a lot of ways, especially with in grooves and that kind of thing to help us get heard, man. So it's like you were saying earlier, it's a teamwork type scenario. So
awesome, man. Glad you guys got that, man. That's a great thing. Indeed it is. So fill in the blank for me. The Intemperate Sons bring blank to the landscape of music that sets you apart from other bands.
I think we bring a dark, vocally. Let me back up. We bring this dark aesthetic that's very relatable to a lot of people. And we do so with kind of in a retro kind of vibe, with, still having guitar driven songs, vocal harmonies, all of that, which is something that's not really happening so much today. None of us are, we've all been inspired by somebody,
right?
But I think we're inspired by the things that are important to us. And I think no matter how much noise is going on out there, people at the end of the day, they love a good melody.
Yes.
They love good harmonies,
right?
And they love a deep lyric. And we bring all of that to the table as a family, honestly. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I want you to talk that talk. I want you to say, that's what I'm talking about. Indeed. When, a lot of times when I ask that question with, what you bring to the table that's different, a lot of people are really humble about it. And it's not that you're not humble about it, but I want to know exactly your vibe. This is the music industry. This is the entertainment. This is what we do. So what is it, out of all the millions of bands out there who release music every day, but it's, when you say that and you speak passionately about what you're doing and who you are, I mean, that resonates, man. And that's good, because if you believe it, man, come on, man.
Right.
So I love asking that question to artists, man. And hey, great answer, man.
The great thing about the band too, it's the best band I've ever been in, and that is we're not afraid to be who we want. We're not afraid to be anything. Like we're if we're gonna have, I might release an electronic EP reimagining our songs next year. Who knows?
Right.
And we're recording an entire acoustic album.
Oh, awesome.
Next year that might be a little bit, more tamped down and could have a little bit of country aspect to it. So we're not afraid to be who we are.
Yeah. That's awesome.
We're not trying to make this like, I don't know, it's this cookie cutter. I mean, people always use AC/DC, but it's always worked for them. But that's not us. We want to be whatever's inspiring us at the moment and incorporate that into our music. So
I love that, Keith. I love that so much, because that's who I am. I could just remember people saying, like, you just need to find your niche. You need to find this. You're everywhere. I can't help it. I love everything. And when I'm inspired by it, I'm just inspired by it. and I
Yeah.
don't apologize for that. So, and those are the things that I'm going to do. So, you talk electric music, I've done dance music, house music, touring with Stuck Mojo with Ectomorph. We were in Amsterdam and we're at the Paradiso and we did this big show. And then after we finished our show, everybody left, all the metal people left and all the EDM people came in. And so, we
That's
went and
awesome.
I went and took a shower with my drummer, LSU, Nails, and then we came back in and just hung out. And once I just
Yeah.
looked at all of it, it just took me back to those 80s of dance.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, when I get back, I'm making some of this music. I couldn't help it, and I did. So I have that stuff also. So anyway, man, that's awesome, man. And once again, this has been a great conversation. So my last question for you is, what's the last song you listened to?
The last song I listened to, let me think about that. It's I'd be lying if so I was listening to the Intemperate Sons, and I want to say it's Frame 42.
Okay.
I'm going to have to look that up. But I was listening to Intemperate Sons radio because I like to listen to new music. So they put a lot of indie artists on our radio, Spotify radio station or whatever.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And this song came on. I was like, whoa, this is really good. But now I want to know what the artist name is because I think it was like Frame 42.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now I'll have to get, I mean, other than that, it's Frame 42. It's
Frame 42.
they're a Detroit artist, I believe, but
okay.
Sounded really good. Other than that, I've been listening to a lot of our unreleased stuff just to try to go up and practice. So I do that too.
A lot of times,
but I like to listen to new artists.
Yeah. A lot of times people don't say that, because you asked me, I was just like, oh, I was just working on a new song and that's what I was listening to a lot. But, a lot of people don't say that, but I want to know exactly what you were listening to. And I don't care what it is. I want to know what you were listening to. So when you said you said Framework 42?
No, they're called Frame 42.
Frame 42. So Frame 42, but I asked that question because it might take a listener or watcher to somebody else, because most of the times there's no telling what we're listening to. Where we find inspiration and what we get into. So I always have to ask that question. This is always my last question for everybody.
I wanted to be honest about that because I was like, man, this artist is really good. I like
that's awesome. Yeah. Frame 42. Indeed. Yeah. Well, look, Keith, man, I just want to say that it's been a great conversation. I appreciate you. I appreciate your openness and just honesty and just talking about who you guys are and what you bring to the table. And it's been a great conversation. I really mean that. And,
well, thank you, Lord. I thank you for having us on. And I love talking to you, man. You're like one of my brothers or something. And I don't even have any brothers. I just have a lot of friends that are, like brothers to me. So it's like having a conversation with family. So that was awesome.
Well, I feel the same way. And I'm glad that you said that because that's just my personality of who I am,
Yeah.
And since I started doing this, I've just been me. And it's just been a great thing to just feel free to be me. And that's right, man. That's a great thing. So if you wouldn't mind, give your social media and any contact information that, my listeners or watchers might need, merch, all that stuff where they can find
sure.
Yeah.
The easiest way is to theintemperatesons.com. We have links to our link tree from there, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and then our merch store is on our website. So that's a one-stop shop. Right, and from there, you can get to everything else.
Got you. That's love. Well, look, man, once again, anytime you guys want to come back, easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, just come on in.
All right. Cool.
And just let it be known and we'll work it out and we get you on, man. We're family and it's a beautiful thing, man. And once again, Shauna O'Donnell, thank you so much. She's really amazing. I really thank her so much, man. She's on point, man.
One last thing. I completely failed to mention her, but she's another team member. She helps. Yes. She has helped immensely with getting our name out, and she's an amazing person. So
she is, and I'm looking at things. I might have to put her to work on some of the stuff we're doing, also, man. Indeed,
you should, man. She does good work.
Indeed. Well, look, man. Once again, I appreciate you. Thank you very, very much for your time and your presence, man. It's been great. So
Thanks, Lord.
go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, man, it's been really nice talking to you.
No, awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you know who it is. It's the big guy with the big show, the Lord Nelson, that is. Yes, indeed. For the podcast Live and Loud with the Lord on the CMS network with 5 Royals Entertainment and my very special guest. I always got to say it 3 times. My very special guest, Keith from the Intemperate Sons. Yes, indeed,
all right.
Ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Take care.
All right, you too, man.
Good talking to you.
Everybody say hello. All right,
I will do that. Thanks.
Right, take care. Peace.
am the Lord Nelson, that is.